Hey guys, welcome back. Is it too late to homeschool? This is a question that a lot of people are asking. Sometimes, things aren't going well maybe at school with their kids, lots of different reasons. And they wonder though, okay, so it's not maybe kindergarten, so is it too late? Is it too late for me to pull my child out? And the quick answer is?
No, it is not too late. No. It is never too late, even if they're 30.
It is never too late. Because one of our philosophies with our Knox learning is that it's more becoming a lifelong learner. And like he said, that can happen even, like I kind of had to go through the process after college. So we have friends that have pulled out their child near the end of their senior year just because they saw some education trauma going on. They saw that their child was really struggling, did not like learning, was just struggling in general. And so they said, you know what, let's just pull out our child, let's regroup. And they had kind of a gap year for a couple of years, and now that child's ready, now adult, and they're ready to, to do adult things, taking college classes, working, and stuff, but they needed that time of healing. They needed that home-centered education.
I think what happens when this question is asked, there's always this implication that somehow you have to start early when you are homeschooling. Mm-hmm. You have to get them used to homeschooling at a really, really young age, and that's the only way that they'll be able to understand how to do it. And it's just wrong. I mean, we're not talking about homeschooling. We're talking about just education. Mm-hmm. And
just learning. Learning is learning. Learning is sitting and reading. Learning can happen when you're out walking in the woods. Yeah. We're just talking about learning and learning how to learn. And I think some of that comes from, most of us were, we were part of the traditional school system. And so we think in that way, but we have to learn how to take tests, and we have to, we think of it as a system. That's not what it is at home.
Well, and it's really refined learning too, because it's you know your kid best, and so you can direct the learning right at what they're interested in and the structure that they will really, really love, instead of a system that just is kind of a one-size-fits-all.
And with that, I also want to talk about, there's lots of reasons why people decide to homeschool. We just kind of touched on one where maybe schooling isn't a great fit for your child, which it's only a great fit for 10 to 20% of kids, actually. So if your child is outside of the box thinker, just the kind of way we teach in our traditional school really just kind of hits on certain personalities, and it's a kind of a small percentage of the kids. And another reason might be maybe your child's fine, but maybe they don't feel it's not a safe place for them anymore. That's a lot of the children that we worked with, where it just wasn't necessarily a safe place for their child anymore. Maybe there was bullying going on, or maybe it just, the system was kind of at its extreme where they felt stupid, and it was making the child feel like they were less than. So that kind of a not safe place either. Those are some reasons why a lot of families take out their kids and start home learning.
So the next thing we want to talk about is that don't think that it's going to be really, really hard. Everything is going to be hard when you pull your kid out, because this is not the old school homeschool. Today there are so many resources to help you to do almost anything that you want to do. Web itself alone, you could be stranded on the moon and you would have enough resources to get a PhD. And there's so many resources out there, videos, downloadables, online classes. There are just oodles. There's so much information out there, and so much support, that it really just it's not an argument that can be made anymore. One of the things that we saw is that when we started to educate our kids in an alternative sort of a way, it just all of a sudden everybody came out of the woodwork. It's like the system is just one thing. It's almost one style of thing of learning and
we feel like it's
teaching.
like the only thing when we're in that system. Like,
but then
is there another way to do it?
But then when you pull out, all of a sudden it's like there's hundreds of ways of learning and growing. So don't think that there's just no help. There is help everywhere, and we'll have lots of resources for you. For that too.
We're one of those. We're here to support you. And we're back. I don't know if you notice, we have a different background now. We have been traveling over the last year and a half in an RV. And
so all of our videos have been in the couch,
RV,
on the couch in the RV.
But we met lots of people from all over, at least the United States. We actually did talk to some people outside of the country as well. But one thing we found was it was kind of a rarity to not be able to find some support system. I know there's a good slot of like middle America where you're a lot further distance from other people, but like we said, there's also a lot of online resources,
and not just resources, but the ability to connect with others
online. And to go along with how there's so many resources available, it kind of leads me into our third one, which it's going to take some time, and be prepared that it's going to take some time for you to adjust, because it is a different system for your family, for your child. We recommend at least a year. There's a lot of different theories out there, but most people recognize and realize there's all these terms that they use. Some it's called a detoxing. But most people realize there is something real about it just taking time for the child and also for the parents to just adjust to that kind of new family routine, and also for the parent, you as the parent or educator, to really hone in on what exactly works for your child. And that's where there's so many resources where I don't know a homeschool family who sticks with one through all their homeschool years. They like try one, and even for a couple months, and they're like, this isn't working, let's adjust. And then they do a couple more months, and then they adjust. That's more normal than like sticking with, I haven't heard of anyone sticking with something. So with all of those resources, just know it's going to take time when you come out, and just don't be afraid to mix things up and just scrap plans and readjust plans, and that it's just going to take time.
And I think that what we would always say to parents when they first came out of the school system was that the detoxification that is necessary sometimes requires you to just do nothing. Now that sounds a bit counterintuitive, that you're not doing anything, but
well, and I knew it made me nervous, and makes most parents nervous, because they're like,
because we're always taught that we have to do something.
If I take them out, I have to be at least that, at least what's going on.
But usually what's required is that you just enjoy each other first. Just start enjoying the relationship that you have with your student. And once that happens, just enjoy each other. Then that just naturally springboards into education, because once you start enjoying each other, you start understanding your likes and your dislikes, and you start wanting to do things together. You start being passionate about things again, and sometimes that takes, like Sidra said, sometimes it takes up to a year. We've seen it happen much faster than that. A year is kind of not a year of doing nothing, but a year of the process of kind of understanding each other and understanding how to approach the education. It just takes a little bit of time.
And really, it's a lot like, maybe you can think of it this way: it's like summer break. Have a summer break type situation. So that's why a lot of people, when they pull out their kids, they just do it at the start of the school year, because it's a really natural transition from summer into like some learning. And But if you're pulling them out mid-year, just think of your family probably needs a little bit of a summer break. And it's just play games and read and some of those things. And just know that it's going to take some time. There is a theory out there that for every year your child was in traditional school, they'll need about a month of just kind of to rediscover their creativity, to rediscover their curiosity.
It's a very unscientific theory.
It's very unscientific. It's just total anecdotal.
Totally anecdotal.
But we had 3 kids, and one we had pulled out right when one was going to go to 6th, 4th, and 2nd is what the 3 of them were going to go to. And it did take our child who was in 6th grade quite a bit longer than our one who was going into 2nd grade. Like, he picked that up pretty fast and got into a new routine and got excited about learning really fast. The 6th grader, she was like, what are you doing, Mom, for a while? What is going on? But here's the last one to think about. If it's really not working for your family or for your child, you can always put your child back in traditional school. It's the law. They need to take them no matter what. So,
going along with this, let me interrupt, but going along with this is there might be a tendency to think, well, if I pull them out and then put them back in, they're going to be lost. They're going to be they're going to be behind, and it's just not true. Okay. We have seen this over and over and over again. They just jump right back into it, and they don't lose. They literally just don't lose anything. Yeah.
And really, we think of learning as very sequential. Like, if I take them out for 2 or 3 months, the system does. Yeah, we don't. But if I take them out for 2 or 3 months, they're going to be 2 or 3 months behind. Yeah. Learning is learning. What learning you were doing at home, even if it was reading books and playing Monopoly every day, learning is learning. Don't worry. Don't let that keep you from taking your children out. The fear that, when they someday maybe want to jump back in, that they will be behind.
In fact, most kids do jump back in. Yes. Most alternative educated kids will have periods of moving back and forth. Mm-hmm. Maybe not so much back and forth, but most of them will go back to the traditional education at some point in their lives. Our own children are actually back in high school. They wanted to go to high school, and they're flourishing in high school. It's like really, really, really good.
And that's what we've heard. I don't know, I'm sure it exists, but I haven't heard of a family that has put their child back in at all different ages, and the child is somehow behind.
Ruined.
I have just not heard it. In fact, I overwhelmingly have heard the opposite, where they are some of the teachers' favorite students because they're respectful, they're excited about learning, they're not burned out, and so they come with this fresh excitement, and then just on the academic side, all the ones that we know of have actually jumped back in after maybe their whole life of homeschooling and jumped right into honors classes or AP classes in high school. It happens all the time. And so I don't want to say it is 100% that way, but it's very rare. If it exists,
let us know.
It's very rare. So don't let that worry. Now the last little housekeeping caveat is that each state in the United States and each country has different homeschool rules, home education rules for pulling out your child. So we couldn't go over that for every state. Instead, we're going to link below a website that has done that for you, that breaks it down at least by each state in the United States.
Clear steps to what you need to do if you want to pull your children out of the public education system, homeschool or not. If you're going into a private school or whatever, there's steps that you need to do.
And so some states, it's as simple as just letting them know. A lot of them, it's more, you just have to fill in a little bit of paperwork. And
some reports from time to time. So.
Yeah, and then on the other end where it's a lot of oversight still from the school and stuff. And so look at that link below, and that will be able to let you know what the rules are for your state.
Good.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Nice to talk to you this week.